The skillet hissed louder than the television. I flipped another piece of chicken, pretending the sound meant something like proof I was there. Dad sat hunched on the couch, eyes locked on the Reds game. Every crack of the bat made him grunt. Mom stood behind Ryan, hovering over his laptop as he talked about his eco-toy business. 4,000 in sales this week, Ryan said, tapping the keys like a drummer. We're about to launch our summer line. Real traction. Mom's voice lifted. That's wonderful. Honey, you always had a business mind. I wiped my hands on a towel. Got some news too. No one looked up. I tried again. Work promoted me. Senior Operations Coordinator. They're transferring me to Charleston next month. Ryan kept scrolling. That's, cool, Dad said, without turning away from the screen. Pass the salt. I stared at him. Did you hear me? He reached for the salt shaker beside me, eyes never leaving the game. I said, pass it. I slid it toward him. He grunted a thanks. The play-by-play announcer shouted something about a home run. Mom clapped for the team. Jamie, she said finally, could you keep it down? Ryan's trying to film a little promo clip? Ryan's camera light blinked on. Yeah, just give me 5 minutes. Okay. Background noise kills engagement. I looked around our small dining room, same cracked wallpaper, same flickering light over the table. The air smelled like grease and dust. Sure, I said. I'll be quiet. I turned back to the stove, flipped the last piece of chicken, and swallowed the heat burning behind my eyes. When the game ended and Ryan wrapped up his video, Dad finally leaned back and said, So, Charleston? Huh. Long way for a desk job. It's not a desk job anymore, I said. It's a promotion, better pay, full benefits. Mom nodded absently. That's nice. Dear, just remember, family's what matters most. Don't let work make you forget that. Ryan laughed. You sound like a brochure. Mom. I pushed my chair back. I think I'm done for tonight. No one stopped me. In the hallway, a voice called softly, Jamie. Aunt Dana stood near the coat rack, her car keys dangling from one hand. She'd come over after work, quiet as always, half invisible to the rest of them. You okay? She asked. I smiled without meaning to. I'm fine. Just tired of talking to walls. Dana's gaze stayed steady. You can't make people see your worth in a room that's already decided you're invisible. I blinked. That's poetic. It's the truth, she said. Build your own world, kid. They'll notice when it's too late. The living room light flickered again. Ryan's laughter spilled out, followed by Mom's voice asking if the chicken was overcooked. I grabbed my jacket. Maybe that's the point. Outside, the air was cool and sharp. Dana's car door creaked open. You know where to find me, she said. I nodded, the words still echoing, build your own world. That night, I packed my duffel in silence. I woke before the house did. The clock on my nightstand glowed 5:15. I zipped my duffel and folded the note I'd written on a torn receipt. Thanks for everything. Take care. It wasn't true, but it was polite. The hallway smelled of last night's dinner. Dad's snores drifted through the cracked door. Mom's voice murmured faintly in her sleep. For a moment, I stood still, wondering if I should knock, say goodbye, wait for someone to stir. Then the thought passed. The front door creaked as I opened it. Aunt Dana's car idled at the curb, headlights dim in the fog. She rolled down the window. You sure? I nodded. If I stay, nothing changes. She didn't argue. She just reached over and popped the trunk. I tossed the bag in and slid into the passenger seat. The heater hissed, smelling faintly of coffee and dust. $340, I said quietly. That's all I've got. More than enough to start. Dana replied. Charleston's not waiting for your savings. It's waiting for your grit. I laughed softly. Grit doesn't pay rent. She smiled sideways. No, but it buys survival. We drove in silence for a while, the city still asleep. Streetlights stretched out like an endless row of tiny suns. When the bus terminal came into view, my throat tightened. "You'll text me when you land," she asked. "Promise." Dana leaned over, touched my arm. "You're doing the right thing. Jamie, don't let guilt drag you back." The words stung more than they should have. It already tried. I stepped out before she could say more. The bus hissed as I boarded, engine rumbling low like a warning. I found a seat by the window and watched Dana's car shrink in the gray light. As we pulled onto the highway, my phone buzzed family group chat. I opened it just in time to see my name disappear, removed by Ryan Monroe. I stared at the blank screen until it dimmed. Then I turned it face down and let the miles swallow what was left of home. The bus dropped me in Charleston at noon, heat pressing against my skin like a warning. I walked 2 blocks to a cheap motel near the harbor, paid cash for 6 nights, and stared at the thin door that separated me from the street. The room smelled like bleach and salt water. By evening, I was out of money for anything but food. At a newsstand by the docks, a bright orange flyer fluttered on the board. Boat restoration workshop help wanted $12 an hour. I tore it down, asked the man at the counter where to find the address. He pointed toward the marina. "Follow the sound of cursing," he said. He wasn't wrong. The place was loud with hammers and seagulls. A man in a torn cap shouted orders while smoke curled from his cigarette. "You the one from the flyer?" "Yes," I said. "Jamie Monroe." He eyed my hands. "Ever scrubbed a hull before no?" "Good. Means you'll do it my way." He tossed me a bucket and gloves. "Name's Pete." The first day felt endless. Salt burned my wrists. Sun stabbed my neck, and the boards of the dock swayed under my knees. Pete walked past every hour with a new critique. "You missed a spot. You're wasting soap. You think too much." At lunch, I sat on an overturned crate, eating a stale sandwich. Pete joined me without invitation. "You from up north Cincinnati?" He nodded slowly. "You running from something I didn't answer?" He smirked. "Figured. Folks don't come this far south unless they're chasing or hiding. Maybe both," I said. That made him laugh. "Keep showing up. You'll be fine." By the end of the week, my palms had blistered into maps of everything I didn't know, but I kept coming back. On Friday, Pete handed me a faded blue shirt with the shop logo. "You lasted longer than most." That's supposed to be a compliment best you'll get from me. I folded the shirt carefully. It smelled like paint and sun. Back at the motel, I called Dana. She answered on the second ring. Still breathing. "Barely. Good," she said. "Means you're alive. Not just existing." I lay back on the bed, listening to the ceiling fan wobble. My hands are a disaster. Blisters turn into armor. "Kid, you'll see." Before hanging up, she added, "Proud of you." The words hit harder than I expected. No one had said that to me in years. That night, I stood at the window, watching the harbor lights flicker like stubborn stars. My reflection stared back, tired, dirty, but real. Somewhere down there, Pete was probably shouting at the night crew, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel invisible. By month 3, the rhythm of the docks ran through me like a pulse. Mornings meant salt and diesel. Nights meant noise from the bar downstairs. I stopped counting blisters. I stopped checking my phone except Sundays. When Dana texted, "Still breathing every week, same words." At first, I'd answer with one word, "Yes." Then 2, "Still here." Eventually, "Got a raise." Her replies were short too. "Proud of you. Keep going." It was the only conversation that didn't feel like work. One night after closing, Pete locked up and tossed me a key. "You're running the morning shift tomorrow." I caught it, surprised. "Why me?" He shrugged. "Because you show up. That's rare around here." "Thanks," I said. He lit a cigarette. "Don't thank me. Just don't screw it up." When he left, I sat on the pier, phone warm in my palm. Notifications blinked old group chats, unopened messages from numbers I didn't recognize. I scrolled out of habit and landed on Ryan's profile. The header photo hit me first. Monroe Toys family built, future focused. Below it, posts of him shaking hands with small investors, smiling beside our parents. Mom's comment, so proud of our boy. Dad's, that's my son. No mention of me anywhere. Not even a ghost. I stared until the glow hurt my eyes. Then I deleted the app. Every trace of it. The next morning, Pete noticed the silence in me. You look like someone stole your map. Just cleaning house, I said. He studied me for a beat, then grinned. Good. Less clutter means more room to build. At lunch, Dana called instead of texting. Just checking in. You sound tired. I'm fine. You never were a good liar. I smiled. Then maybe I'm learning. She paused. Remember this, Jamie. Family isn't blood. It's who answers when you fall. I didn't answer. The wind off the harbor was loud enough to carry what I couldn't say. After the call, I looked down at my hands, rough, scarred, alive. Pete yelled for help with a shipment, and I went. The work didn't ask who I was. It just needed me to keep showing up. By the end of my second year in Charleston, the workshop felt less like survival and more like proof. I could read a storm by the color of the water, predict fuel delays before they happened. Pete stopped barking orders and started handing me clipboards. One morning, he tossed me a ring of keys. You're locking up tonight. Don't lose these, took me 20 years to earn them. I laughed. And I get them after 20 months. He grinned. Guess you work faster than I did. The title changed quietly, assistant coordinator, but the paycheck said otherwise. I bought a used scooter, then an espresso machine small enough to sit on my windowsill. For the first time, I could afford silence. On Sundays, Donna still texted. Sometimes she called. The tone of her voice changed to less worry, more pride. Still breathing, she'd joke. Breathing and billing, I said once, half laughing. That's my girl. Keep both steady. It wasn't much, but it steadied me. A few months later, Pete invited me to dinner at a seafood shack by the pier. He pushed a folder across the table. Fleet's expanding. I'm moving you to scheduling lead. More hours, more pay. I opened the folder, saw my new rate. You trust me that much, I trust the work. And you haven't missed a dawn in 2 years. I met his eyes. What about everyone else? They'll get over it. That night, I called Dana again. They promoted me. About time, she said. So how's it feel? Strange, like I earned something nobody can take back. That's exactly what it is. We didn't talk long. She hated long calls, but before hanging up, she said, keep your boundaries tight. Jamie, people notice when you start standing tall. Some clap, some plot. I didn't think much of it then. Weeks later, I rode my scooter home late from the docks. Traffic lights blinked red through the drizzle. I passed a bar window where families were eating dinner, the kind I used to sit through. I wondered if my family ever looked for me, even once. At my apartment, I brewed espresso, scrolled my phone, almost called but didn't. The screen stayed blank. Outside, the tide whispered against the pier, steady and calm. I turned off the light and let the sound fill the room. It wasn't home. Not yet. But it was mine. It took me 3 years to reach the harbor office with a check in my hand and a heartbeat that wouldn't slow down. The broker slid a thin folder across the counter. 36 feet, twin engines, refurbished last spring. She's yours if you sign. I read every line twice before writing my name, Jamie Monroe. When the keys hit my palm, they felt heavier than anything I had ever earned. Pete met me at the dock that afternoon, eyes squinting against the sun. You buying or dreaming buying? He whistled low. Guess the kid from Cincinnati made it. Guess she did. He clapped me on the shoulder. Don't forget where you learned to scrub. Wouldn't dare, I said. The yacht gleamed, steady and alive. I named her the Solera. After the sun, I used to watch rise over the workshop every morning. The next week, corporate promoted me to fleet director. The title came with a new office and a salary that made my chest tighten when I saw the deposit. Pete grumbled that he was losing his best manager, then helped me pack anyway. 2 days later, I met Ethan Wells. He wore a pressed shirt, sleeves rolled neatly above the elbows, clipboard in hand. Miss Monroe. Yes, I'm here to review insurance coverage for the Solara. Dana Lawson recommended me. The name caught me. You're Dana's nephew. He smiled. She mentioned you might need someone who understands both boats and boundaries. I laughed. That sounds like her. Ethan walked through each section of the vessel, pointing to small risks I hadn't considered. You're doing well, he said finally. You should protect it properly. Keep ownership in an LLC, separate from your personal assets. It shields you if something goes wrong. I leaned against the rail. You sound like a lawyer, financial consultant, he said. But close enough. Want me to draw up the structure? Please? He nodded. No charge. Dana's orders. We signed papers in the small cabin, sunlight cutting across the table. When he left, he said, You built something solid. Don't let nostalgia poke holes in it. That night, I called Dana. You sent your nephew. He's good, right, the best. She paused. Jamie, you've come far. Just remember, success makes noise. Someone's bound to hear it. I looked at the Solara rocking gently under the dock lights. Then I'll keep the gate locked. Dana laughed softly. That's my girl. Dana showed up one Saturday with groceries and a grin that didn't match her eyes. She moved easily around the Solara's galley, humming while she unpacked bread, lemons, and fish wrapped in paper. Why do I feel like you're planning something I asked? She poured olive oil into a pan. Planning dinner. You work too much. That's not new. She laughed softly. Still, someone has to feed you. We grilled on deck until the sky burned orange. For once, I let myself relax. Dana talked about her garden back home, her neighbor's dog, small things that filled silence. Then she reached for her phone. Stand there, she said, pointing toward the bow. Sunlight's perfect. I frowned. For what? Just a photo? For me? I hesitated but stepped forward. She snapped 3 quick shots. Beautiful. Promise you won't post that. I said. She lifted her brows. Since when are you camera shy? Since peace started feeling fragile? She didn't answer, just smiled and tucked the phone away. We ate in companionable quiet, the sound of waves brushing against the hull. When she left, I walked her to the dock. Text me when you get home. I said, always do. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Notifications flooded the screen tags, messages, names I hadn't seen in years. I opened the first one and froze. Dana had posted the photo. Caption my niece Jamie Monroe from sanding hulls to owning one. She built it all herself. Within minutes. Hundreds of reactions. Mom's name in the comments. Proud of her. Dad's family resilience at its best. Ryan's unbelievable. Must be nice. My stomach twisted. I called Dana. She answered on the second ring, voice calm. I knew you'd see it. Why I asked quietly. Because they needed to. You've hidden long enough. They'll come now. I know. Her tone softened. Let them. It's better to see what they want in daylight than in the dark. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I said, You just lit the fuse. Dana. Her sigh carried through the line. Then be ready when the fire finds you. By Monday morning, the post had been shared over 1,000 times. Every ping on my phone felt like a knock on the hull. I muted the notifications, but the names kept coming. Old classmates, co-workers, distant relatives I barely remembered. Ethan stopped by the marina office with a folder. You've gone viral, he said, sliding the papers onto my desk. Don't remind me. Then maybe I shouldn't mention that your parents just called my office. I looked up sharply. What, they wanted to confirm your address. Said they were planning a visit. The words landed heavy. When he hesitated. Their flight lands Wednesday. 3 tickets. Cincinnati to Charleston. I leaned back, pressing a hand to my chest. So they're really coming? Ethan nodded. Dana told me not to panic you, but I figured you'd rather hear it from me. Thanks, I murmured. He studied my face. You okay? Not really. Ethan stood. Then listen, you don't owe them access. If they show up uninvited, that's trespassing. I'll help you document it. After he left, I called Dana. She answered mid-ring. He told you. Yes. Then hear me clearly. Jamie, you keep that gate locked. They're not coming for hugs. Her certainty hit harder than fear. You think they'll try to guilt me? Always did. That night, I stayed late on the Solara, cleaning things that didn't need cleaning. Every sound on the dock made me flinch. I drafted a message that read, "Don't come," but couldn't press send. By Tuesday, the rumors spread through family chat threads. Dana forwarded me Jamie's rich now. She owes Ryan for disappearing. I stopped reading. Ethan texted just before sunset. They confirmed a rental car too. I stared at the screen, the letters blurring. When I finally lay down, sleep wouldn't stay. Memories circled like gulls, Dad saying, "Family helps family," Mom laughing when Ryan took credit for my ideas. Before dawn, I walked to the dock, barefoot, the boards cold under my feet. The water was still, waiting. My phone buzzed once more. A text from an unknown number, landing at 2 p.m. "See you soon." I didn't answer. I just watched the tide start to rise. The Charleston sun was merciless that afternoon. I saw them before they saw me, 3 figures dragging suitcases down the pier, smiling too wide for the heat. Dad waved first. "There she is," he called, as if 5 years had been 5 minutes. I stood at the gangway of the Solara, arms folded. "State your reason for being here." Mom winced. "Sweetheart, we flew all this way. Can't we at least come aboard? You can talk from there?" Ryan grinned. "Camera already out. Come on, sis. Let the family see the view." When they started up the ramp anyway, I stepped aside, not out of welcome, but warning. Touch nothing. Dad whistled low as he looked around the deck. "You really did it, huh? All this for yourself?" Ryan brushed his hand across the rail. "Guess we know who got the good genes." Mom sighed. "Don't start, Ryan." Then to me, softly, "It's beautiful. Jamie, we're proud of you. Are you?" I said. Funny. I don't remember hearing that when I left. Dad cleared his throat. "No point dragging up the past. We're here now. Family should stick together." The word family felt like a hook. "You deleted my number," I said. He shrugged. "We were angry. You ran off. I left. There's a difference." Ryan leaned against the railing, pretending calm. "Look, we can hash old stuff later. I came because my company's in a bind. My supplier froze accounts $68,000 due, or they cut me off." Mom's voice trembled. "We thought maybe you could help. Just a loan, to keep him afloat." Dad added quickly, "You're doing well. It's not much for you now." Silence hung between us. The only sound was the creak of the ropes. "So, that's why you came," I said. "You saw the photo, did the math, and booked flights." Mom's eyes watered. "It's not like that. We wanted to see you." "No," I said quietly. "You wanted to use me." Ryan pushed off the rail. "Don't make this dramatic. You wouldn't even have this without us. Dad's name. Mom's support?" I laughed, sharp and hollow. "Support. You mean the kind that disappears when someone else is talking." Dad snapped, "Watch your tone. We raised you better than this." "You raised Ryan," I said. "You tolerated me." Mom stepped forward, pleading. "Jamie, Please. He's your brother. Exactly, I said. And when I was 25, turning my motel paycheck into rent, you were posting pictures of his launch party. When I got promoted, you ignored my message. When I bought this boat, you didn't even know I existed. Now you're here for 68,000 reasons. Ryan's jaw clenched. You think you're better than us? I think I stopped needing your approval. Dad's voice dropped. You'll regret this. Blood's blood. I reached for the gate latch, then bleed somewhere else. Mom's tears came fast. Jamie, don't do this. I opened the gate. Off my boat. For a second. None of them moved. Then Ryan muttered, Karma, and grabbed his suitcase. Dad followed, jaw tight. Mom hesitated, eyes on me, searching for the daughter she'd edited out of family photos. Go, I said. She did. When the dock fell quiet, I locked the gate and exhaled. The silence didn't feel like victory. It felt like air I hadn't breathed in years. A week passed before the first headline appeared online. Monroe Toys files for bankruptcy. I read it twice, then closed the tab. Ethan stopped by the dock with paperwork. It's official, he said. They're liquidating assets. Your parents co-signed a loan for him. Bad idea. I nodded. They always believed he couldn't fail. He studied my face. You feel sorry for them? No, I said. But I don't feel better either. He placed the documents on the table. Closure rarely feels clean. When he left, I called Dana. She didn't say hello, just, you held your line. I'm proud. They lost the house. I whispered. I know. Some lessons arrive dressed as consequences. I never wanted this. Of course not, she said. You just stopped paying for their mistakes. Silence stretched, soft but heavy. Are you coming down soon? I asked. Next month, she said. We'll take the Solara out and watch the sunrise. Sound good? Perfect. After the call, I opened my old email account for the first time in years. At the bottom of the inbox sat a draft unsent my father's name beside it. I clicked. We miss you, Jamie. We just don't know how to say it. The cursor blinked, waiting for me to answer. I closed the message instead. Outside, the harbor lights shimmered against the water. I stepped onto the deck, the boards warm from the day. Luna, the neighbor's old dock dog, patted over and rested her head on my knee. I scratched behind her ear. We made it, I murmured. The tide rose gently, lapping against the hull. I started the engines, pointed the Solara toward open water, and whispered to the wind, peace anchors deeper than any chain.